Imagine a place that has existed for 25 million years. A place much older than many mountain ranges, older than most animal species living on Earth today. That is Lake Baikal. At first glance, Baikal appears to be just a giant lake in the middle of frigid Siberia. But the deeper you delve into its story, the more confusing things become. Lights were seen appearing beneath the deep, dark water. Satellites have recorded perfect ice rings, kilometers wide, that then disappear without a trace. Mysterious sounds emanated from a place where sunlight never reached, and at the bottom of the lake, the ground is still shifting every day. The scariest thing isn't the depth of over 1,600 meters of Lake Baikal. The scariest thing is that after hundreds of years of research, we still can't be sure we truly understand what's going on beneath the surface of the water. Because Baikal doesn't look like a lake. Baikal is like an ancient world that is still silently keeping its own secrets. If the depth of Baikal is the first thing that amazes people, it is what emerges from its shadows that truly baffles many. Long before scientists brought modern equipment here, locals had already spoken of strange lights appearing beneath the surface of the lake. That's not the light from the boat. It wasn't light from the shore. Instead, they are bright, blue or white specks of light emerging from beneath the deep, dark water. Initially, those stories were considered legends, like many other strange stories that emerge around desolate and isolated places. But then something unexpected happened. When modern observation equipment began to be deployed at Baikal, researchers discovered that those lights actually existed. Not all reports are confirmed. Not every case has clear data, but it's enough to confirm that the phenomenon of underwater light is not entirely a product of imagination. And this is when the questions begin to arise. In a cold and dark environment like Baikal, what could possibly create light? The first hypothesis points to bioluminescent organisms. In the ocean, many species of organisms are capable of producing their own light. They use light to hunt prey, camouflage, or communicate. That sounds reasonable, but Baikal is not an ocean. This lake has a very unique ecosystem, and to date there is no evidence to suggest the existence of bioluminescent populations large enough to explain all the observations that have been recorded. The second hypothesis involves chemical reactions at the bottom of the lake. Baikal is located in a highly dynamic geological area. Natural gases, minerals, and geological activity can create unusual phenomena that are not yet fully understood by humans. But the problem is that many recorded light patterns don't perfectly match known chemical reaction models. Then came the third hypothesis, electromagnetic effects. Some researchers suggest that underground movements or changes in the local magnetic field may be related to this phenomenon. That's an interesting line of research, but again, it doesn't explain the whole picture, and this is what makes the story so compelling. Baikal is not short of hypotheses. What Baikal lacks is an explanation comprehensive enough to encompass all its observations. Each hypothesis explains part of the problem, but none of the hypotheses bring the story to a close. It's like seeing the pieces of a puzzle but not yet knowing what the whole picture really is. Imagine you are diving down into a body of water hundreds of meters deep. The surroundings were almost completely dark. Water pressure was bearing down from all sides. There is no sound, there is no sunlight. Then, in the distance, a faint source of light suddenly appeared in the darkness. The mere thought of it is enough to make many people feel uneasy. Perhaps that's why stories about the light at the bottom of Lake Baikal continue to attract attention. Not because they prove anything, because they remind us of a simple truth. People often confuse naming a phenomenon with actually understanding that phenomenon. We can create hypotheses, we can build models, but sometimes, behind a scientific name lies an unsolved mystery. And at Baikal, in the deep darkness beneath the lake's surface, those sources of light continue to appear, a reminder that the real story may only be just beginning. If the lights at the bottom of the lake made one wonder what existed in the darkness, the next phenomenon raised a different question. What is leaving such enormous marks on the very surface of Lake Baikal? In 2009, scientists observing satellite imagery discovered something unusual. Giant circles appeared on the ice-covered surface of the lake. Not just a few dozen meters, not a few hundred meters, and it's several kilometers wide. Viewed from space, they resemble circles carefully drawn on the pristine white ice surface of Lake Baikal. The strange thing is that these circles don't appear everywhere. They only appear in certain areas. Then it disappeared. Then it reappeared in other years. Imagine you are flying hundreds of kilometers above the Earth. Below lies Lake Baikal, completely frozen over in the middle of a Siberian winter. And amidst that vast sea of ice, a nearly perfect circle unexpectedly appeared. The scene looked more like something deliberate than a natural phenomenon. That's why, when the first images were released, countless theories quickly emerged. Some people believe this is evidence of geological activity. Some people have linked this to magnetic field phenomena. Some even believe they are connected to unknown mysteries at the bottom of the lake. But then more detailed studies began to be conducted, and this is where science offers an explanation. According to several studies, these ice rings are associated with swirling currents of warm water moving beneath the ice sheet. As the warm water swirls, it thins the ice in certain areas. As a result, when viewed from above, giant circles gradually appear. That sounds reasonable, and for many people, the story might end there. But in reality, it's not that simple, because this explanation only describes how the phenomenon occurs. It doesn't fully explain the underlying cause. What creates those eddies? Why do they only appear in certain locations? Why do their shapes have such an astonishing degree of symmetry? And why is this phenomenon cyclical? Those are questions that are still being researched. And this is what makes Baikal so interesting. Many phenomena here follow the same pattern. Humans discovered something strange. Humans can describe it. Humans developed a mechanism to explain it. But upon closer examination, a new layer of questions emerges. It's like opening one door and discovering there are many more doors behind it. Giant ice rings are a prime example. Today, we know they are related to the movement of water beneath the lake. But knowing what is happening doesn't necessarily mean knowing why it is happening. Those are two very different levels of understanding. And perhaps that's what makes Baikal so special. It constantly reminds us that science is more than just finding answers. Science is also a journey of discovering new questions. Because sometimes, the most mysterious thing isn't what you see right in front of you, but the underlying causes remain hidden beneath the thick layer of ice surrounding this ancient lake. And if the massive ice rings are merely traces of what's happening beneath the surface of the lake, then the next question becomes even more thought-provoking. Baikal emits more than just light. Baikal seems to be emitting sounds from a place almost inaccessible to humans. If the giant ice rings are something humans can see from space, then the next mystery comes from a completely different place. A place that cannot be seen. A place located deep beneath the frigid waters of Lake Baikal. For many years, research equipment has recorded strange sounds emanating from the great depths of the lake. That's not the sound of an engine. That's not the sound of ships. These are not the familiar sounds that humans usually hear in an aquatic environment. Those are low-frequency signals. It lasts for several seconds. Sometimes they appear alone. Sometimes they appear in chains. What caught the researchers' attention wasn't the volume. That's just their characteristic. Some sounds have rhythm. It has structure. It has a repeating pattern. It's as if some kind of process is taking place at the bottom of the lake. Imagine you are standing in the middle of a winter night on the ice of Lake Baikal. All around is a vast expanse of space stretching to the horizon. Beneath your feet lies more than a kilometer of pitch-black water. Then, from the deepest part of the lake, a low, rumbling sound suddenly emanated. The source of the sound is not visible. The distance is unknown. I don't know what created it. All we know is that somewhere beneath the water, something just spoke. Perhaps it is precisely this invisibility that makes this phenomenon so special. Because people often fear what they cannot see more than what they can see. Of course, science has offered several explanations. One theory suggests that these sounds are related to geological activity. Baikal lies on a continuously expanding fault zone. Deep underground tectonic movements could create vibrations that travel through the water. Another hypothesis involves the movement of sediment layers or natural gas at the bottom of the lake. In an ancient and complex system like Baikal, many processes are still occurring that humans have not been able to observe directly. Those hypotheses all have a basis, but they still face a familiar problem. They explain the existence of sound. However, the exact source of the sound has not been determined in each specific case. In other words, scientists know that those sounds exist. They can record them, analyze them, measure them, but in many cases, they still haven't been able to pinpoint exactly what created them. And this is where the story gets more interesting, because each mysterious sound is like a message sent up from the deepest part of the lake, a message we've heard but haven't fully deciphered yet. The Lake Baikal is approximately 25 million years old. Throughout that time, the lake's water has been constantly changing. The geological layers are shifting, the cracks widened. These colossal processes are taking place in the shadows, processes that humanity is only just beginning to become aware of. Those sounds could simply be echoes of natural processes, but they could also be a sign that far more complex mechanisms exist beneath the surface of the lake than we previously thought. And this is something worth considering. Every time the Lake Baikal emits a sound from a depth of over 1,000 meters, it is reminding us of a very simple fact. That much of the world beneath the lake remains beyond direct human observation. And when you can't see what's happening, all the answers are just incomplete pieces of a puzzle. But that's not the most noteworthy thing. While humans are trying to listen to what's happening at the bottom of the lake, the very earth beneath Baikal continues to change day by day. If the mysterious sounds from depths of over 1,000 meters suggest that Baikal is still functioning beneath the surface, then what is about to be revealed is even more astonishing. Because most people, when looking at Lake Baikal, unconsciously see it as a lake that has existed stably for a very long time. They see the calm surface of the water, the massive ice sheets in winter, and the surrounding mountain ranges that have remained almost unchanged for generations. But the reality is quite different. Baikal is not a fully formed lake. Baikal is a geological system that is still changing right now. Scientists have determined that Lake Baikal lies on a massive fault line, where the Earth's crust is slowly being pulled away. This process is very slow, only a few millimeters per year, but on a geological timescale, it represents an enormous change. Imagine two continents silently drifting apart, little by little. For a few years, humans barely notice. For a few centuries, the landscape remains familiar, but after millions of years, the entire map of the planet could change. That's exactly what's happening beneath Lake Baikal. Many geologists believe that if this process continues into the very distant future, this place could become a new ocean. In other words, the world's deepest lake today may only be the first stage of an ocean in the making. And this is where things get confusing. Because these changes don't just exist in theory, history has repeatedly recorded the power of movements taking place beneath the lake's surface. One of the most famous events was the Tsagan earthquake in the 19th century. After the earthquake, a vast area of land along the lake suddenly collapsed. Many settlements were submerged, and parts of the familiar landscape disappeared overnight. For those who lived there, it must have felt like the ground had suddenly betrayed them. What seemed to be the most solid thing had become the most fragile. But the story doesn't end in the past. Modern surveys reveal that areas of subsidence, geological fissures, and continuously expanding structures still exist at the bottom of Lake Baikal. Some areas of the lakebed are still changing shape over time. This means that the world beneath the surface is not as tranquil as it appears. We see a peaceful lake surface, but deep beneath the surface, a vast geological system is still in constant motion. Perhaps the most thought-provoking lesson from Baikal is that, in life, what appears most stable is often the one undergoing the most profound internal changes. A person may be smiling, but in reality they are experiencing significant emotional turmoil. A society may be thriving, but deep-seated problems have long been brewing. The same applies to Baikal. Its surface gives the impression of immutability. But beneath the water's surface, more than 1,600 meters deep, Earth continues to rewrite its own history every day. And amidst all the mysteries of Baikal, there is a place that for thousands of years has been considered by the locals as the spiritual center of the entire lake. An island that, to this day, remains associated with strange phenomena, ancient stories, and mysteries that have yet to be fully solved. If Lake Baikal is a world unto itself, then Olkhon Island has long been considered the heart of that world. Located near the center of the lake, Olkhon is the largest island on Baikal. But what makes it famous isn't its size or its landscape. What makes Olkhon special is its place in the hearts and minds of the communities that have lived around the lake for generations. For many locals, this is more than just an island. This is sacred land, a place where the boundary between the visible world and the unseen seems to become more blurred. Interestingly, it's not just folktales that make Olkhon stand out. Over the years, several unusual phenomena have also been continuously recorded in this area. Some tourists and researchers have reported compass malfunctions in certain locations. Some have described a feeling of altered sense of direction or unusual psychological experiences when staying on the island for extended periods. In addition, there are local records suggesting that some bird species tend to avoid specific areas on the island, although the exact reason remains unclear. From a scientific perspective, these phenomena may be related to Olkhon's geological characteristics. The ancient rock layers, magnetic minerals, and complex geological structure of the area could very well have localized effects on the navigation equipment or the surrounding environment. That's a plausible explanation. But for the locals, the story takes on a different tone. For centuries, Olkhon has been considered the energy center of Baikal. Many legends tell of guardian spirits protecting the lake, sacred lands, and places that people must show reverence when visiting. It is noteworthy that, although science and tradition offer different perspectives, they both converge on one point. It was an acknowledgement that Olkhon was not an ordinary place. Perhaps that is why, to this day, this island retains its special allure. Not because it has been fully explained, but because it still leaves room for people to continue to ponder. And perhaps that was Olkhon's final lesson. Not every mystery needs to be solved immediately. Sometimes, the value of a mystery lies in the fact that it reminds us to retain our curiosity, humility, and the ability to acknowledge that there is still so much in this world beyond what we already know. After all the mysteries of Baikal, what truly remains is perhaps not the lights at the bottom of the lake or the sounds emanating from the darkness. What remains is a lesson that is very relevant to each of our lives. Because Baikal is more human-like than we think. When we look at a lake, we only see the surface. When we look at a person, we often only see the surface. Eye black. We see their smiles, but we don't see the pressures they're under. We see their success, but we don't see the failures they experienced. We see the results, but we don't see the long process behind it. Just like Lake Baikal, the deepest part is often the least visible. Modern society is making people accustomed to jumping to quick conclusions. Just because you read a headline doesn't mean you understand the whole thing. Hearing an opinion and then assuming you know the truth, looking at a phenomenon and assuming you've grasped its essence. But Baikal reminds us that reality is rarely that simple. What appears on the surface is often only a very small part of the story. And just like Lake Baikal, everyone's life has deeper layers that others cannot see. Perhaps that's why what people need most today isn't more information. Rather, it's about having more understanding. It's not about reacting faster. It's about thinking more deeply. It's not about being confident that you're always right. Rather, it is the humility to acknowledge that one may not have seen the whole truth. The Lake Baikal has existed for tens of millions of years, and there are still things about it that humans cannot fully explain. So perhaps we should also learn to be more humble in life. Be humble before nature. Be humble in the presence of others. And be humble in the face of what you don't know. Because many mistakes in life don't stem from a lack of knowledge. They stem from the belief that one already knows enough. And perhaps that is the greatest mystery that Baikal wants to remind us of. As people mature, they don't need to learn how to assert everything, but learn to understand that the world is much bigger than you realize. And it is from that humility that true maturity begins. If you also believe that the greatest mysteries don't lie in distant places but in how we perceive the world, please leave a comment sharing your thoughts. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to continue joining us on our fascinating journeys of discovery.